All right, this is going to take me a while. See, these videos are like 20 minutes long. So.
Yeah, but believe me, there's something you want to pay attention to.
Oh, no, totally. I watch videos much longer than this. I mean, I spent 10 hours watching the Georgia testimony, so.
The guy in the video is the guy that invented the technology, the barcode scan technology for phones and shit that they use now in toll booths and telephones and all the scanning technology. He invented it. They're all his patents, and he describes in there how easy it was and how he can determine a fake ballot instantaneously. And he said it was rampant. He can prove it instantly. He said the lawyers are asking the wrong questions of the wrong people.
Of course they are. They always ask the wrong questions and always want the wrong answer. I mean, I honestly feel like I'm going to have an aneurysm with all of this.
Don't let it get to you that bad.
It's like you're fluttering out there.
Say again?
Well, maybe it was just a momentarily thing. You were fluttering out a little bit.
Okay, you want me to disconnect real quick?
Yeah, do it off and on real quick.
All right. You should have me now?
Yeah, I got you. I think it's an internet issue.
Okay, sounds good. Rick, Paul, Susie, what's up?
Yeah, not staticky.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Coming in bad?
Why would I do this? I mean, you're fine now.
Okay.
I don't know. It just seems to be intermittent and it's, scattered.
All right, well, we got some crappy weather here today, so
that could be it.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do anything about it.
You still got headphoneless?
I am, yes.
All right. Yeah, I'll check these out a little bit later.
Okay. Let me know when you have David on the phone.
Got him.
Roger that. 4:04 p.m. Thanks, guys. Make sure to share this stuff. Like these posts and share them, okay? Thank you.
Coming up on 30.
Okay.
And 30.
This is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by X Insurance. X Insurance. From the gunbroker.com studios on the Car Arms Platinum microphone.
They're never going to stop us here.
Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
Welcome inside Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, the gunbroker.com studios on the Car Arms Platinum microphone, lit up and ready to rock and roll for you today. All of this being brought to you today around the country and around the world by xinsurance.com is the site. X Insurance. doing incredible work, taking the firearms community by storm. More about that later. I'm going to jump right in. I've got this hour flies by. We want to get as much of it in with my guest as I possibly can. David Codrea, welcome to the program, brother. How are you?
Mark, it's cold out here, but you know what? Things are heating up for the country, are they not?
Boy, they certainly are. David, gosh, listeners, you're in for a good one today. You're in for a good one tomorrow, and you're in for a good one on Friday. All three conversations are going to be very provocative. Similarly aligned topic-wise, because I think, David, you'll agree with me that we're getting to a point in this country where we are going to have to start confronting what this nation is facing. The corruption in our government is beyond the pale, David, and Americans are going to have to start demanding some things change, and some things, I think, we're just not going to be able to shy away from some of these discussions anymore. You would agree with that?
We are coming to a head on whether or not the swamp is going to emerge from all this still in control after they've been exposed and so many Americans have awakened to the danger and the fact that our entire way of life is being swindled from us. And so it's just a question now of, are we going to roll over and take it, or are we going to do something about it? And I think a growing number of Americans are waking up to this and very resentful, and we're trying to resolve things. You know, as John F. Kennedy said, those who cannot achieve peaceful revolution, you know how the saying goes. If you make peaceful revolution impossible, violent revolution becomes inevitable, and yet you see our voices are closed off at every turn. Social media will block us. If we try to pass a link on, we'll either get banned or else it will say, no, this has been decided by the dispute settlers that you guys are wrong and that Joe Biden fairly won the election. And let me just real quickly, if I could just divert a second to your listeners, particularly the ones listening on Facebook. You're at your computers right now. Do something for me. Go to Google. I know some of you don't like it, but go to Google for this. Type in the word baseless, B-A-S-E-L-E-S-S. Once that shows up, I want you to go up to the news tab. You'll see it says all. It says news, videos, pictures and things like that. Go to the news tab and click on the news tab and look at what the results for baseless are, and you will see major national and international news source after major national international news source saying baseless in relation to any claim that there is any dispute whatsoever that Joe Biden is the fair and square winner of the election.
And where do you think that information comes from, and who do you think put it there? Do you think that's put there by chance? Of course it's not put there by chance. The gods and gurus who design the algorithms, who are smarter than all of us, put that there. That is there intentionally, and you know it. You're smart enough to figure that out. It's how you get driven to fake crap every single day by these garbage outlets masquerading as social media. The danger that that is being done to this nation right now, David, I believe may be irreparable. I don't know that it can be fixed. I have said many times that the genie's out of the bottle, if you will. You know, the grill has released the grill smoke. You can't gather it back up. It's out. It's done. What are our options? Break up Google, break up Facebook, get rid of social media and wipe it out? Who knows? I don't know I don't know the answer.
I'm reminded of Rodney King after the L.A. riots, and I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to call him that, am I? There's Maxine Waters had another word for it. I forget what it was, something about justice. Okay, but he said, and I give him credit for this, he said, can we all get along? Can we all get along? And he was sincere, okay? Right. I'll give him that. But the answer that I'm seeing more and more is no. We cannot, because you and I, we want to live our lives and live our traditions and raise our families the way that we want to do it, and yet we are being told, no, we can't. We must have this forced on us. We must raise our children the way that they say that our children have to be raised. I saw, Mark, it's like getting insane, the inmates running the asylum. I saw this one news article about this activist saying that all children should be given puberty blockers until they're old enough to make the decision for themselves.
And Nancy Pelosi wants kids to vote at what age?
Oh, 16, yes.
16. Listen, David, let me make this very clear. I'm not interested in getting along with them. Those days are over. For 4 years, they called me every name in the book simply because I don't agree with their communist, socialist, Marxist, masquerading as Democrat ideology. And I never will. I never will. That ideology has no place in this country. None. What will this nation do? And that largely, listener, is asking you, what are you going to do about this? Let me read you something from very profound words. However, I'm a radical for reading these. The left will call me an extremist. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I read this last week. I may read it again multiple times over the next 3 years. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That means Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer work for you, not the other way around. This is not difficult to figure out. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, which it is today, it is the right of the people, us, to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. David, the average age of a republic, as I was talking about earlier this week, and I opened up the show on Sunday, is 200 years of a democracy or a democratic republic, our form of government. The Roman Republic outstripped that by about 482 years, roughly, before it collapsed and Augustus became Caesar, dictator. We are 244 years old, so we're 44 years removed from the average. And I think we may be living, David, we just have to accept this, in our lifetimes, at a point in history of this nation's lifespan, because it does have a lifespan, that we happen to be living through the age of corruption to the point in our government that we are going to have to fix it ourselves. Am I wrong?
What we have is we have two separate, irreconcilable cultures occupying the same territory. What historically has always happened when that condition has occurred?
Yeah, well, go ahead, go there.
You know, you can't get along with people that are going to force you at gunpoint to kneel to their way or be destroyed. And it's getting to the point right now where it's not just what government is doing, Mark. It is what corporate cowards are doing, because they get involved in this struggle session cancel culture to where your career will be destroyed, your social status will be destroyed, your ability to speak out will be destroyed if you are not towing the line and you're not holding up the little red book and doing the chants right along with the rest of them. And what we've gotten away from is a Bill of Rights culture. And, of course, we just had yesterday, it was Bill of Rights Day, and yet we're not a Bill of Rights culture at all anymore. What we are is we are becoming more and more of a police state for neo-Marxists, and that's what it's becoming. You know, Joe Biden supposedly is in, but they're not going to be satisfied with that. No. And you know, I've seen sayings from Antifa and things like that. We're not interested in a Biden win. We're interested in tearing down the system. And you don't think that Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar and people of that ilk are going to be satisfied with their traditional Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden Democrats. I hope no one is of that illusion, because that's not. They're going to keep pushing further and further and further to the left and keep moving the goalposts and changing it to where if you're not further and further and further to the left, you are in grave danger of being canceled out.
David, we're going to take a break. When we come back, let's let listeners in on a private conversation we had today before the program about do you remember the individual? I'm sorry, I forgot. I was not taking notes. Think about it during the break. You'll remember the conversation and who the individual was that once Republicans, well, I'm out of time. We'll talk about it when we come back. Suffice to say, you don't want to go anywhere. Amazing conversation coming up with David Cotier for the remainder of the hour, including USA Today. What about USA Today? We'll talk about it. Don't go away.
America was founded through the blood of hard-fighting, hard-drinking men. Men who believed in freedom and whiskey, who laid down their lives and their fortunes.
All right, guys. So I did a brisket last night, 9 o'clock. Injected a USDA prime 10-pound brisket. Beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous brisket with some McCormick's beef paste where I quadruple the amount of beef and inject that thing and just let it just get happy, happy, happy inside the cryovac injected. Covered it down with Old No. 2 Texas barbecue brisket rub, Old No. 2 brisket rub. And I put it on the Pit Boss at about 9 o'clock last night, Eastern time. 40 pounds of an apple, cherry, mesquite, oak, and hickory blend with a little bit of Jack Daniels pellets in there at 200 degrees and let it rip throughout the night. Well, I stayed close to the cooker overnight because I wanted to make sure that the pan had water, and I also put some flavorings and some beef broth in there, etc., as it's dripping and getting happy. Fell asleep on the couch about 4:30 in the morning. I wake up and the downstairs in my home smells like charred wood. And I'm thinking, what the heck is that? Why does it smell like that? Walked outside in the pouring rain to the back deck to see my cooker had an error message on it. Seems the auger got stuck that feeds the pellets in from the 40-pound pellet hopper. And the wood was basically charring and cooking backwards, and there was smoke coming up through the 40 pounds of wood and back through the bottom of an exhaust port. So for the next hour and a half, I sat there in this pouring rain until I got the cooker rolling again, which I did successfully. It didn't take long. Had I known what to do, all I had to do was hit the prime button for about 20 seconds, and it would have pulled those pellets forward. So I finally figured that out and did that, and the brisket came off at about 1 o'clock this afternoon. Absolutely beautiful. So there's your story. Let me know when we got 30, would you, Greg?
Yep. 30. This upcoming segment of Armed American Radio is being sponsored by Gunbroker.com, the world's largest online marketplace to buy and sell firearms, ammo, and related accessories. That's Gunbroker.com. Welcome back to the show. Gunbroker.com, indeed. Flip the screens back for you there before we go back to David Codria. But I want to point out to you that this is the Gunbroker.com studios. This is the Car Arms Platinum microphone, and all of this is being brought to you today by X Insurance. We will talk about that later in the program. Let's get this
studios here. Back to David Codry. If you are watching on Facebook, if you are watching on YouTube, thank you very much. Please make sure to like and share the videos as we continue to grow the Armed American Radio video network in addition to the radio program. And if you're tuned in on one of our fantastic radio station affiliates around the country, thank you very much for that. And thanks to the affiliates for helping this program continue to grow over the years. David Codry, let's go right back to it. Before we, I don't want to get lost in the sauce here. Got a lot of things I want to cover with you. But we were talking off air. Who was the individual we were talking about? What was the name? Let's name him. Who was wanting to arrest Trump supporters? Who was? Can you refresh the conversation for us?
Oh, yes. This is New Jersey Representative Bill Pascrell Jr.
There it is.
And this is a guy, I wrote about him once on AmmoLand. He's charging Trump and his enablers with treason. For contesting the election. And treason, as you know, is a capital crime by U.S. code. And he's so loose with his definition of enablers, I guess that you and I are guilty of treason in this man's eyes, and we deserve to be hauled off and executed. So this is part of the can we all get along. And now I've got another article that's going to be coming out on AmmoLand. I submitted it last night. I'm not sure they get backed up and all that. I'm not sure if it's coming out tonight or if it'll come out tomorrow. But if you go to AmmoLand, you can get all my AmmoLand comments there. And Pascrell has upped the ante to where he has asked Nancy Pelosi, or demanded from Nancy Pelosi, I should say, that she not allow the senator or the representatives who backed the Texas lawsuit that the Supreme Court recently cheesed out on, another story altogether, but that she not allow them to be part of the Congress, which means that now we're sitting there. If these are your representatives, you have no representation in Congress. And he says it in the name of democracy. Okay, this Democrat says it in the name of democracy. And as you know, according to the original Constitution, the representatives were the only group in the checks and balances of government that were intended by the founders to be elected democratically. The senators at that time, until the 17th Amendment, were elected by the state legislatures, and that way you could have some control. And if they picked a bad guy, you could take it out on your local legislator and keep them in line that way. Now, of course, everything is geared to where the urban cities, the power centers, are the ones that dictate everything for the people living downstate, for the people in flyover country. And this is the same thing we're seeing in this election, where Hillary, right after she casts her vote as elector, proposes abolishing the Electoral College. You know what they're doing there.
Of course. This is obviously a complete, total attempt to manipulate our system to provide themselves absolute power forever. I'm going to read a quote to you from Paul Markle, who texted me earlier today, and it led to, of course, an invitation for him to be on the program. We're going to have to move him to Friday. Brad Primo is going to jump in with us on Thursday. Indeed, our people, that was a response. Hold on one second. Here we go. When your vote no longer matters and the courts turn a blind eye, what recourse does a citizen have? Now, I'm not going to go into that conversation with David today. Suffice to say, that's what we're going to talk about with Paul Markle on Friday when he makes his appearance on the program. But I want you to think about that, listener. Think about that. When the government, essentially, when the courts have turned their backs on you, what recourse do you have? David, it's a harrowing, I guess, is a word to use. It's a harrowing thought. I don't even want to consider, but we have to consider where this country is. When you have, as you quoted, as I quote you, irreconcilable differences, and that's what they are, folks. I have no intentions of getting along with the representative from New Jersey. And trust me, he wants nothing to do with me. I don't want to sit down with him. I don't want to eat dinner with him. I don't want to look at him. I don't want to talk to him. I'm not interested in compromising with him. I'm giving him nothing. Nothing. I want him defeated. And David, when you have that attitude, and that is my attitude, I'm not going to walk away from that. It's also their attitude. What do we do?
Yeah, there is no compromise because, by calling us traitors and by citing treason, Okay, he's saying that really the only solution is for them to arrest us and execute us. I mean, this is coming from an American politician, somebody who took an oath to uphold the Constitution. And what it reminds me of, Mark, you saw Independence Day, right? The aliens invade Earth, and the president goes down to the basement where they're keeping the alien, and this guy's behind glass, this evil-looking, anti-ET, right? And the president says, "What is it that you want from us?" Trying to compromise. And the alien just says, "Die." Okay, that's how do you respond to that? And I'll tell you what, our generation, this is the test of our time.
It is
for our generation.
It's not just our generation; it's the nation.
This is existential.
Yeah, this is the nation. This isn't just our generation. We happen to be living through it, sadly.
Our generation is what needs to lead it, though, Mark, because so many of the younger generations, the follow-on generations, have been brought up through public school systems with a media system to where what it took us to grow into and become interested in. I was a gun owner for always, but I didn't really get involved in the advocacy aspect of it until I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
Okay? And then you start getting deeper into it and you start finding out the real meaning of things. But there's a whole generation that follows us, and it's wonderful to see some of the younger people that are doing it, but the overwhelming majority are the David Hoggs and the Emma Gonzalez's of the world, and so our generation has to be the one to lead.
Well, let me say this in defense of some of the younger generation who are fighting wars on our behalf, who do get it, and they're out there, believe me. I've been scolded by some of them many times, rightfully so, and I admit admit that I was wrong. When I lump them all together, they're not all Emma Gonzalez and David Hoggs. The problem is it's the Emma Gonzalez.
I qualified that.
Sure, of course. It's the problem here is where I'm going with this. Is not you. Is the fact that Emma Gonzalez and David Hogg get all the press. It's the media that again continues to drive these narratives. It is the media and a 24-hour cycle and a social media machine, a juggernaut, if you will, that enables this idiot in New Jersey, emboldens him in a cyber world to say these stupid things and believe that the vast majority of Americans are onto it because of the world they live in cyber world, a very dangerous place in this country. Social media, the internet in general, that allows all of this because of the speed of technology and a 24-hour news cycle that is so biased, is doing irreparable damage to this country. The psyche of the nation is permanently damaged. I don't see us singing Kumbaya and holding hands anytime soon, so we've got to find a way out of this peacefully before we can't. And yes, it can happen again in America. Trust me, you don't want it to. It's a mess. We've gotten ourselves in a mess, Ollie. It's a mess, Ollie. I'll be back with David Kogia right after this. Lots more to talk about. Don't forget the 30 mark.
All right.
Ugh.
Man, I'm busy.
Don't, not today. Today.
Come on, man. I'm busy. You tripping.
Not today, please. Not today.
Getting close. 30.
Back to Armed American Radio's Daily Defense with Mark Walters.
Indeed, welcome back inside Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. I am Mark Walters. I am filling your prescription for freedom across America's airwaves from these gunbroker.com studios on the Car Arms Platinum microphone. All of it powered by X Insurance. In the next segment, I'll tell you a little bit about them. I'm talking with David Codrea. David, welcome back. War on Guns. Let's tell people where they can find you. WarOnGuns.com. They can find you at Ammo Land, and we're going to talk about some of your Ammo Land stuff right now. But before we do that,
also at Firearms News.
News.
That's a big one. That and just real quickly, if I may, I've never looked at the way this program progresses on Facebook before, and now I'm looking at some of the comments and things, and I'm not smart enough to do this with one hand, but I see a guy named Castle Rock Farm saying, "What was the name of the documentary David was in?" And it's Lies of Omission. So just wanted to get that in.
Lies of Omission. We talk about that a lot on this program, Lies of Omission. We certainly do. And thanks for checking it out on Facebook, too. And if you're watching on Facebook or you'd like to watch the video portion of the program, I think you'll dig it a lot. In fact, I know you will, from the Armed American Radio Video Network studios. Don't do it while you're driving, please. Okay? Pull over before you check your social media, all right? Please do that. But enjoy the program in all multimedia forms. And there's more to come when the new website opens up. You'll be able to pretty much watch and listen to the program on the new Armed American Radio website in the near future. David, before we do anything else, let's go to Polymer 80 for a second. How up are you on that?
Just a little bit. I'm not a hardware person. I'm a rights person. But from what I've seen of that, the big lesson that we learned from them is that be careful what you do with credit cards, because they will be able to come in and get the trail and then come after you. This was one of the objections that I had when they started making the marijuana illegal all over the place, that warning people that, look, you go in, you buy this stuff with a credit card, and you better not fill out on a 4473 that you don't use these substances, because they're going to ask you, and if they can catch you in a lie, you're going to be hurting, and they're going to come after you. So I don't know what the solution is. I don't know enough about Bitcoin and blockchain to know if they can do something there. I don't imagine with doing mail businesses that they would be able to just take cash or money orders. I'm not sure how that would work, but there's a real dangerous situation out there, the way everything is interconnected, and they can find out who's got what.
Yeah, let me give you some information, and I'll let you know, listener, that I've reached out to Joshua Prince, the attorney who wrote this over at princelaw.com, and we'll see if we can bring him to the show on Sunday. I'd like to talk with him about this on the program for at least a half hour on the Monstercast. But posted 2 days ago, if ATF comes a knockin', only surrender your 80% frame or receiver under protest. As many in the community are aware, the BATF raided Polymer 80 last week, and since then there is at least one report of a customer being visited by ATF and forced to surrender their P80. Apparently they got customer lists when they went into Polymer 80. Given what appears to be ATF's active enforcement of its interpretive jiggery-pokery, ever-changing interpretations of the Gun Control Act and implementing regulations, it is important that any individual confronted by ATF regarding this newly minted interpretation
Advise the agent that he/she is surrendering the items under protest, that you do not consent to the forfeiture or destruction of your property, and that you require a property receipt from ATF. Be aware that the agent may attempt to have you sign what's called an ATF 3400.1 form. Consent to forfeiture or destruction of property and a waiver of notice, which, and he highlights this in bold letters, you should not sign under any circumstance. In the event that they ask you to sign an ATF 3400.1, inform them that the only ATF form you are willing to sign is an ATF 3400.23, receipt of property and other items, as the ATF 3400.23 does not contain language wherein you agree to the forfeiture/destruction of your property. And it goes on to tell you that you should take photos of your items so that you can prove the condition, etc. David, what concerns me about all of this, and we'll move on from this right now, but what concerns me about all of this is that is this the ATF in advance of what they believe is going to be a Biden-Harris administration saying, look at us, we're on board with you, we want you to notice what we're doing, we're with you. And if that's the case, how dangerous is it?
It absolutely is that. Gun Owners of America is encouraging us to contact the Trump administration and tell him to get rid of Regina Lombardo, the acting ATF director, because she and I forget what her lieutenant's name is, but they're both disastrous for gun owners, and they're instrumental in trying to change regulations and rules that have been on the books. It's like with the arm brace thing. It was like before that with the bump stocks. And this is what gets me is that you still find people going, oh, well, bump stocks, that's not a hill worth dying on, just a stupid piece of plastic. And they're totally missing the point. Right. And that point being that through executive orders, ATF can be, ordered to change the rules. They will go ahead and change the rules that will conflict with what they've testified with in court before, what people have based life decisions and business decisions on, and they just change it. What did Paul Begala with the Clinton administration say? Stroke of the pen, law of the land, kind of cool. That's what we're doing, and yes, these people are auditioning for roles in the Biden administration.
You better believe it, and they're auditioning by toying with your constitutional rights. Imagine if they did it with your Bible. Just imagine. We're, again, treading on some very, 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 some very dangerous shark-infested waters. David, when you mention that, I think of Aikens, the Aikens Accelerator. I think of how much money Mr. Aikens put into his business after he got approval from the ATF, and a warehouse. And the next thing you know, the ATF had 150,000 customer names. The ATF was confiscating the property under threat of arrest. The ATF shut his business down and basically buried the man. He's been a guest on the program on more than one occasion over the last decade. But again, this is the damage that they can do. One little bureaucrat without Congress and a Regina Lombardo trying to show off for the administration. It's unbelievable. David, let's go to the USA Today. This is a paper that is just such a rag. It's good for lining waste paper baskets and pet, maybe pet crap things, but other than that, it's an absolute joke, and you out them here. USA Today interns exhibit typical Gannett ethics. Gannett is the parent company of the USA Today, and you have the beautiful video, the Twitter that they put out about the modifications to the SIG 5.56 and the AR-15. It's just incredible. What were you writing about here, and what's important about it? Because you know me, I hate the media. Go for it.
Well, basically what prompted this round of going after them, because I've gone after them before, is that an article in the Federalist that says USA Today uses left-wing college interns to censor news media and opinion articles they disagree with, working hand in glove with unaccountable social media giants to suppress it. And, of course, that's what we talked about in the earlier segments of this program, and I'm sure every one of your listeners is aware of the way the media suppresses the lies of commission and lies of omission, okay? And so to be using as the arbiters of what is true, people with, an obvious and long left-wing agenda, it's wrong. But, I've gone after Gannett before when one of its holdings, it was the Journal News in New York, was publishing the names and addresses of handgun permit holders, Okay, and this was in total violation of their principles of ethical conduct for newsrooms, and the Gannett ethics policy, which basically it's all these la-la words about to change in the good of
30.
we serve and make life better. Yeah, how's it going to make life better to out you as a gun owner to the general public? Okay, and this is also through the various holdings. You know, I talk about the Journal News doing that. Also talk about an article that they have managed to suppress and even try to get off of the Internet Archive in the Des Moines Register, where their columnist Donald Call called for gun owners to be killed.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, we're gonna go there. Stop. We're taking a break. That's perfect right there. Because David, as he always does, gets in my head and he knows where I want to go. We're going there. We're going to go there. There's a link to it in the article that David writes, the column that he writes, and I absolutely ask you to go read this. USA Today, interns exhibit typical Gannett ethics. When we come back, one more segment with David Codria. No doubt, fastest hour in radio. Now you know why. Back after this.
Three down.
Amazing.
I don't have any other shows that go this fast.
I know one or two of them, and I know why they don't.
No comment.
Leave it at that. Say no more. You see all the hysteria over at Fox News and all the other sites about the terrible nor'easter coming as if it never snows in New England in the wintertime? These people make me sick to my stomach. What's that?
They're going to have something to be outraged about.
It's unbelievable.
If they're not outraged at Rand Paul for saying that there was fraud in the election, then they got to be outraged that shocking winter came.
Yeah, a nor'easter. It's going to slam into New England. It's going to be of epic proportions.
Global warming. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Hey, here's a prediction for you, folks. I know I'm going to take your money. I don't want you to take the bet, but if you want to, I'm going to take your money. But somebody's going to bitch about how hot it gets in New York City in August. You mark my words. They're going to write a story about it.
Mm-hmm.
You mark my words. It's coming.
It's supposed to be 63 tomorrow in Texas.
You know, it's crappy, cold, and rainy here today. But it's a lot crappier and a lot colder and a lot worse several hundred miles north.
It's always a lot worse several hundred miles north, regardless of the time of year.
No comment.
No way in hell would I want to live in that part of the country.
Would you be so kind as to let me know when we're coming up on 30? No comment. My connection been solid? Any jitters?
First segment, you had a jitter, but it didn't last too long, and it was fine. 30.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is being brought to you by Defender Coffee. When you drink Defender Coffee, you're making a donation to a gun rights organization of your choice that protects and defends your freedoms. Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show, indeed. I am Mark Walters here, filling your prescription for freedom in the Crossbreed Holster Studio, the Seek Crossbreed Holster Studios. That's the Monster Cast. See how easy it is? So let's just give all four a shout-out. The Crossbreed Holster Studios, the Gunbroker.com studios, on the Car Arms microphone, and the Lead Slingers microphone. There's four of our partners right there. Make sure to support all of them, please. LeadslingersWhiskey.com, Car Arms, the Car Firearms Group. You're going to be hearing a little bit more from Car Firearms here in the very near future. I'll let that cat out of the bag when I can. My Pillow. I got to thank you guys. Last week, this is always remarkable to me. But, you know, we move more My Pillows on Armed American Radio than two of the other daytime national radio shows combined. And you know who both of them are. One of them you listen to in the morning if you're listening to Salem at 9 a.m. And the other one is on Fox at night on TV after his radio show during the day. And it is remarkable. And I ask you to please keep it up because that money goes to keep this show on the airwaves. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that partnering up with a guy like Mike Lindell and My Pillow would mean so much to the Second Amendment. But it does. He is committed. And we have got to support the man. It's just incredible. It's such a fantastic relationship with such a great guy, Mike Lindell, and he deserves all of our support. It's real simple to do. Buy what you're going to sleep on anyway and use the promo code AAR over at mypillow.com, radio listener specials. Click on that button and use the promo code AAR for anything on the site. You get huge discounts right now. The pillows are $40 off. The Kings are $5 more. $28, I think, or $29 for the Queens. Send them as gifts and send them to the people who you know hate guns and let them slumber at night comfortably knowing that they're supporting the right to bear arms. See, that would bother them. It's fun for you to do that. But and remember, gunbroker.com also, gunbroker.com. If you can't find it on your shelves, Gunbroker does have it. Second Amendment Foundation, very important that we support Alan Gottlieb, who is on his way back tomorrow from the White House Christmas party that he attended yesterday. You should see some of the pictures that I got from him yesterday. Just unbelievable. North American Arms, of course. We're trying to bring Sadie back to the show here soon before the end of the year. And DefenderCoffee.com. My Defender Coffee delivered today. I don't have it here because it delivered late in the day, but, oh, gosh, it finally got here. DefenderCoffee.com. Promo code, of course, over there is AAR. And you're also going to be hearing a lot from Ignatius Piazza and Front Sight. I want to give them a huge, huge shout out. But none of this would be possible were it not for X Insurance. And I'm going to leave you with this. I did some legwork earlier today just to confirm what I already knew. And I can't even call the company a competitor because there's no competition. The other companies don't write policies. They use someone else's paper to provide you what you think you have. And in one case, the insurance is $50,000, $6,000 incidentals, $50,000 one occurrence, $6,000 for incidentals, $250 max. And a couple 100,000 people over there have what they think is insurance. It's only good in 38 states, and it's a bail bonding company that's completely unrated, not even rated by AM Best. A bail bonding company, 38 states. There's 50 states in the union. X Insurance is a real insurance company. My personal policy is $100, $250, $500. Grow up to real stuff, won't you please? Just like you do for your homes, your autos, your life, your health, your toys. X Insurance has you covered. My gap coverage, by the way, is completed, and I'll tell you about that when I know more. Let's go back to David Codria. David, you quote Donald Call's call for gun owners to be killed. And I got to tell you, can we get David back up on the screen, please? There we go. Thank you. Declare the NRA a terrorist organization and make membership illegal. Let me repeat that. Declare the NRA a terrorist organization and make membership illegal. Make ownership of unlicensed assault rifles a felony. If some people refuse to give up their guns, that prying the guns from their cold, dead hands thing works for me. Now, David, I'm going to just say this because I feel like saying it, and that is, come on. Let's go. Have at it. These are fighting words. And when you combine these words, David, with what we talked about from the guy from Jersey, This is what the other side thinks of you, bro. We got a problem in this country that we got to right. We got to fix it. because they are not going to stop until they're stopped. You better figure that out. How we stop them is the key. How we stop them is the key. Go ahead.
These are the options. These are the options that they are leaving us. Do what we say, or we'll kill you. That's essentially the options. And that was just a part of the quote. I mean, he starts out talking about tying Mitch McConnell to the back of a truck and dragging him around a parking lot.
Right.
Okay, which is a lethal threat unto itself. But he says repeal the Second Amendment, the part about the guns anyway. What the hell are you talking about, buddy? Yeah. And surely the founders couldn't have envisioned weapons like those used in the Newtown shooting when they guaranteed gun rights. Well, again on Ammo Land, I just did a piece. My friend Jeff John, former editor at Guns Magazine, Guns and Ammo before that, has done a piece on the weapons of the Queen's Rangers during the Revolutionary War and the breech-loading Ferguson rifle. And these people were well aware of advancing technology. They were living it and they were testing it as they were fighting and dying. He says, owning a gun should be a privilege, not a right. And this is coming out of this Gannett ethics where they serve the community, and this is just what we're being treated to and subjected to, and everything else is being censored out by the social media. This is just, Mark, there's no recourse that we're left with. They're leaving us no choice but to surrender or die.
David, I use your words on the show frequently. In fact, I did on a couple interviews I did yesterday. I did 2 interviews this week that were fun. One of them I was on national talk radio, news talk radio in Ireland. And it was, I have to tell you, the host was fantastic. He was left-wing, but they were genuinely looking for American conservative voices to talk about Trump and the election going from 16 up to where we are today. They genuinely wanted to hear what we had to say. He wasn't there to argue. He was there as a 4-part or 5-part series over the month to hear what conservative U.S. voices had to say, and it was well done. I enjoyed it, and I would welcome the opportunity to go back. But we did get into the gun issue, and on a couple of those interviews I did it again, I believe on St. Louis with the Mark Cox Show on Tuesday, just yesterday, and that was, I quote you, here in America we have a Second Amendment. It's in our parchment paper. They cannot take our guns from us. Because of that, we can only willfully give them up. And boy, I'll tell you, I don't know that any other words ring truer than that when it comes to the right to bear arms, because that goes all the way back to Thermopylae. It goes back to Molon Labe. It goes back to the Gonzales. It goes to Texas. It goes to come and take them. And that's not the threat, David. Saying come and take it isn't the threat. The threat is you telling me, hell yes, we're going to take your guns. Isn't that the threat, David? You got 30 seconds. Go ahead. Close it out.
Yeah, and we will pry them from your cold, dead hands. Doesn't get clearer than that.
That's what he said. That's what he said. And he unfortunately represents a lot of people on the left who hate your guts. And remember, we're talking about half the nation. Coward. Half the nation. Unreal. Unbelievable. Guys, here's what we're going to do. David Cotier, real quick, tell us where we can find you, please, real fast.
WarOnGuns.com, and also Firearms News is going to do a new piece. China ramps up tyranny as U.S. suit. So
all right,
we are
good.
Becoming like them.
Ammo Land, Firearm News, War on Guns. David Cotier, thank you for being here, my friend. I appreciate it very much. You can see and hear everything David does, and, of course, we'll bring him back to the show for you on a regular basis. I am Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom. We're going to get up and do it again tomorrow because they don't want us to. Carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never leave your cave without your club. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you on the radio.
You've just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by X Insurance. X Insurance on the Armed American Radio Network.
Man, that was a good show today. Thank you very much. Appreciate the crap out of that.
For sure.
David's awesome. And
Always does a good job.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, the brisket, by the way, came out phenomenal.
Oh,
I had a brisket. That's the only thing I've eaten today was a brisket sandwich, and it was wonderful.
That's all I would eat. I had a
Yeah.
brisket that just cooked in the. It's all I would eat. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
You know what is great? What I like to do with it is chop it.
Yeah.
Chop it up really fine. Big
Burritos.
handful of it, almost like a pulled pork, and toss it on a sandwich with. I used to use the Secret Six, Jack Garland's Secret Six Texas barbecue sauce was some of the best I've ever had. They got bought out a few years ago, and you know who I think bought them? Kraft bought them. And if I'm not mistaken, and viewers, you might want to check this out if you're still on Facebook with us. The original Kraft, just the cheap $1.49 bottle of Kraft barbecue sauce, just plain old Kraft barbecue sauce, I believe is now the Secret Six recipe. It is super good and super cheap. I use that, or I use the Sweet Baby Ray's original. Just a hint.
Sweet Baby Ray's.
You like that?
Oh, it's a staple.
Yeah, it is. It is with me too. A Secret Six used to be. Texas Barbecue Rub team used to use it on just about everything, including their meatloaf. But like I said, they got bought by Kraft, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Kraft bought them and is now using that for their Kraft barbecue original recipe. So for $1.49, there ain't no reason to go out and create your own sauce. It's right there in aisle 2 of your grocery stores. You know what I'm saying about? That's what I'm talking about.
Wagyu beef, meatloaf with the Secret Six barbecue sauce.
That's what I'm talking about, boy, in there. Put our boy in there. That I'm talking about, our boy in there. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, our boy in there. All right, homie. Hey, so I'm at the grocery store. I was at the grocery store, Greg, about a couple months back, and I was talking like that with my kid, joking around, you know. I was telling him we were going through the line at the grocery store. I said, you going to put that up, drink our boy in there. Go there, Red Bull boy over there, and put our boy in there and pay for it, our boy in there. And the woman behind the counter says, you from Louisiana? I said, no, I'm just messing with my kid. She started cracking up. Huh?
You sounded very coon-ass.
Well, you know, it's funny because you can say, up boy in there at the end of everything. Give me that TV remote, up boy in there. Put on that channel, 347, up boy in there.
I spent a little time in Louisiana, and I heard it.
Oh, yeah. Hand me that pen, up boy in there.
State I am fine with never going back to.
I love it down there. Got engaged in New Orleans in the French Quarter.
I have no interest.
Yeah, it's a whole different world back then. That we've been married 20 years. November 4th was 20 years, and it was a whole different world back then. Totally
everywhere in the United States was a whole different world then.
I'm telling you, man. Yeah, it's different. There's some big changes coming. Y'all get ready. Be prepared. Something's going to have to break in this country, and it's going to have to happen soon. And you know what's interesting, Greg? You got AOC now outright calling for Schumer and Pelosi to go.
Oh, yeah.
And that, I mean, outright calling for it publicly now. So that shows you the rift in the Democrat Party. And there's a real possibility that Pelosi and Schumer might not survive that.
I hope so. They need to go.
Well, they do need to go. And that rift in the party will just send that party so far left. Not that Schumer and Pelosi aren't, but it will expose the hidden, what are now, or they think anyway, are hidden dangers of the Democrat Party. They're now just itching to come out as a Marxist, openly socialist, communist. And if they're successful by doing that, then that's what they'll do.
Well, I hope they're on somebody's list, and when they're put out the pasture, they get visited.
Yeah, put them on somebody's list. Conspiracy Greg Lindemood here with us.
Yeah,
joining us on Armed American Radio's After the Show for you.
The post-show wrap-up.
Post-show wrap-up, Facebook and YouTube viewers. You get the post-show wrap-up. That's very good. That's Greg Lindemood of Bobby and Now.
Hey, don't use my last name. I don't want them tracking me down. I'm already on a list somewhere.
There are 2 videos. I'm going to put the links up on my social media, guys, that you need to watch. I gave the links to Greg earlier, and it is the individual who invented and has the patents for the scanning codes. He created that technology that's now used not just on your phone and on every box you see in a grocery store or wherever it may be, or restaurant menus, but highway the what do you call them? Toll roads, everything. Okay,
Yeah.
he created that. That's his technology. Same thing being used on the mail-in ballots, and the guy said he can look at a ballot instantly and tell you instantly whether the ballot is real or not. He explains how on these videos that he did on YouTube, and it is absolutely incredible. He is begging Trump's attorneys to ask for him because they're asking the wrong questions. They're seeking the wrong information because they don't know better. It is astonishing what the individual is saying. This is the real deal. This is not some conspiracy theory. It's the guy who invented the technology, and it's phenomenal.
It'd be
It's
nice
fantastic.
to have him review the ballots after the runoff election in Georgia.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen. I can tell you that Stacey Abrams now is claiming over 1.3 million ballots. Now, if you don't think it's rigged on her behalf, then you have to ask yourself this question: why is she so excited about that?
I'll be honest with you. I don't think the Republicans are going to win there.
Well, if they don't, you got a real problem. You got statistical problems when you have. This is a red state, and it's interesting. But the question I ask is, with 1.2 million ballots out, why is she so excited about that? She must know something. How does she know that 3/4 of those aren't Republicans who just are fed up and want to start voting now? How does she know that? Seems that she knows. Seems that she's pretty excited about that. If I were her, I don't know why would that excite me?
Well, she can't keep the gap tooth from flapping, and she can't stay quiet and stoic like Joe Biden did for 8 months.
No, she can't. And
Lawrence Taylor in a skirt can't shut her mouth. Makes you want to kick a field goal right at her face.
You could. You certainly could. Yeah, she is she's a stain on the state of Georgia. She is a real problem. And the real problem is she has got big bucks behind her. And no, they've come after Georgia to try to
Big
cheat their way
Facebook
through this.
bucks.
So we'll see. This is all coming down. It's all coming down to the wire. All right, guys. Greg, thanks for jumping in and staying with me today. I appreciate it. I'm going to cut you loose.
All right, man. See you tomorrow.
You got it. Rock on. That was Greg. Thanks for him. He's a lot of fun, isn't he? I had a couple questions yesterday. I had some emails about Sean, where Sean is. Sean is no longer working with Armed American Radio, and he won't be again. He's gone. And it was a tough decision, but had to be done. Leave it at that. But he's doing good. He's still at Salem. He's just not working on my show anymore. And I think a couple things I didn't get into with David, and I wanted to. There's just not enough time. His latest column, at least until his new one from today publishes, is Georgia rep asking the president to pardon former, that would be Trump, by the way, to pardon former FBI agent railroaded on gun charges. He talks a little bit about that. And he also wrote about a book exploring how War for Independence revolutionized firearms technology. It's a fascinating read. And another column, Qualified Immunity and Special Privileges Drive Wedge Between Gun Owners and Police. Yesterday, Dave Workman and I talked a lot about the Ohio CCW holder who was shot and killed by police. And, of course, he also wrote about Charles Heller in a piece, Paper Falsely Reports Gun Advocate Diminished Importance of Lives Lost to Suicide. Charles is on the show with us. And Gun Prohibitionists Exploiting Suicide to Advance Disarmament Agenda. He also talks about Keith Olbermann in another column. Olbermann unwittingly demonstrates the importance of the right to keep and bear arms. Keith Olbermann is a complete ass and no respect for that loser whatsoever. He's just a flat-out, bald-faced idiot. But it's a fun read from David. If you're like me and you're like your angry side coming out, this is the kind of column that'll bring it out for you. So there we go. For today, thanks for jumping in. Appreciate it. Please like and share these things, and let's grow these channels. And I will see each and every one of you on the radio tomorrow. Brad Primo will be here. Paul Marco will be here on Friday. So we're going to wrap the week up with some great conversation. See you on the radio tomorrow, guys.